My son chose his stepfather instead of me. Part 1. The day my son looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I wish Mark was my real dad," something inside me broke. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't angry. He simply believed it. The birthday party went silent. The music kept playing, but I couldn't hear it anymore. Everyone looked at me waiting for a reaction. I forced a smile. "Happy birthday, buddy." Then I walked outside before anyone could see the tears rolling down my face. At that moment, I thought I had lost my son forever. What I didn't know was that within a year, the man he called his hero would betray him in a way neither of us could have imagined. And my son would discover a truth that had been hidden in plain sight his entire life. 10 years earlier, life looked perfect. Emily and I had been married for 7 years. Then Noah was born. Holding him for the first time felt like holding my entire future. I promised myself one thing. He would never grow up worrying about money the way I had. So I worked. Every overtime shift, every holiday, every weekend I could. I believed providing for my family was the greatest way to love them. Emily supported me, at least in the beginning. But slowly, she changed. She smiled less. She stayed out later. Her phone never left her hand. Whenever I entered the room, the screen suddenly went dark. I convinced myself I was imagining things. I trusted her. Until one evening, she quietly placed divorce papers on the kitchen table. "I don't love you anymore." 4 words. 7 years disappeared in less than a minute. 3 months later, our marriage was over. I rented a tiny apartment across town. It had 1 bedroom, old furniture, a leaking sink. But Noah had his own little room. I painted the walls blue because blue was his favorite color. Every other weekend, he stayed with me. Those weekends became the happiest days of my life. We built pillow forts, burned pancakes together, played video games until midnight, watched superhero movies under blankets. When he laughed, nothing else mattered. Then Emily married Mark, less than a year after our divorce. That surprised me. But what happened next hurt even more. Mark seemed perfect. He never missed Noah's soccer games. He coached his team, helped with homework, took him fishing, bought him the newest phone, the latest gaming console, designer sneakers, online. They looked like the perfect family. Meanwhile, I kept working overtime. Every paycheck paid child support, school supplies, medical bills, college savings. Sometimes I skipped buying things for myself, but Noah never knew. And honestly, I didn't want him to know. Children shouldn't carry their parents' burdens. As the years passed, something changed. Noah started canceling weekends with me. "Dad, I already made plans. Maybe next time." His text messages became shorter. Eventually, sometimes there were no replies at all. Every missed visit felt like another small goodbye. I kept telling myself, he's a teenager, he'll come back. But deep inside, I was terrified he wouldn't. His 16th birthday arrived. Emily invited me to the party. For the first time in months, I felt hopeful. Maybe things were getting better. The backyard was full of family, friends, neighbors. Everyone was smiling. After dinner, Noah stood up holding a microphone. "I just want to thank someone." My heart raced. This man has always been there for me. He walked past me, straight to Mark. They hugged. Everyone applauded. Then Noah looked toward me. And, "Thanks for coming." That was all. No dad, no hug, just, "Thanks for coming." The applause felt louder than ever. Not because people were celebrating, because every clap sounded like another crack in my heart. After most guests left, I found Noah carrying presents inside. I quietly asked, "Can we talk?" He shrugged. "Sure." I took a deep breath. Did I do something wrong? He sighed. You were never around. I felt frozen. I worked, I know, but Mark was there. The words hit harder than anything I'd ever heard. I wanted to explain every overtime shift, every sacrifice, every lonely night. Instead, I simply nodded. Maybe I had failed. Maybe love wasn't enough. Maybe I had already lost him. That night, sleep never came. Around 3 a.m, someone knocked on my apartment door. I opened it. Emily stood there. She looked terrified. Her mascara had run down her face. Mark's gone. What? He emptied our bank accounts? What are you talking about? He disappeared. He took everything. I stared at her in complete shock. Then she whispered something that made my stomach drop. I think we've been living a lie. The next morning, my phone rang. The screen showed Noah's name. For the first time in months. I answered immediately. Dad! His voice was shaking. I don't know what to do. I'll be there in 10 minutes. When I arrived, the beautiful house looked different. The expensive cars were still in the driveway. The furniture was still inside. But somehow, it already felt empty. Emily sat on the kitchen floor, surrounded by unopened bills. Noah stood by the window, staring outside. He looked lost, like a child again. Over the next few weeks, the truth came out piece by piece. Mark hadn't simply left. He had been hiding a secret life. For years, he had accumulated enormous gambling debts. He had opened credit cards in Emily's name, taken out loans, forged signatures, even borrowed money from relatives while pretending everything was fine. The perfect husband had never really existed. He disappeared because he knew everything was about to collapse. Noah refused to believe it. No, there has to be some mistake. He loves us. He defended Mark for weeks, even after the police showed proof, even after the bank confirmed every transaction. Watching his hero fall apart was breaking him, and there was nothing I could do except stay close. Within months, Emily lost the house. The cars were repossessed. Most of their belongings were sold to pay debts. They moved into a small apartment. For the first time, Noah understood what financial hardship felt like. One Friday afternoon, he sent me a message. Dad, can I stay with you this weekend? I smiled before I even replied. Of course. That weekend became another, then another. Slowly, without either of us mentioning it, we started rebuilding what had been broken. One rainy afternoon, we were cleaning my old garage. Noah found a dusty cardboard box. Inside were hundreds of photographs. His first steps, his first bicycle, every birthday, every school drawing, every Father's Day card he had ever made. I can't believe you kept all of this, I smiled. I never threw away anything that reminded me of you. Then he noticed another folder. He opened it. Inside were years of records. Every child support payment, every medical expense, every school fee, every deposit into his college savings account, every overtime paycheck, everything. He looked at me. You worked all those weekends. So I could have everything? I nodded. I hated missing your games, but I loved knowing you never had to worry. The next morning, he wandered back into the garage by himself. I found him standing beside my old pickup truck. This is the truck you drove when I was little? It is. He climbed inside. The seats were worn. The dashboard was cracked. Then he reached under the passenger seat. His fingers touched something, a tiny plastic dinosaur. His eyes filled with tears. I remember this. You dropped it after we went to the zoo. You kept it? I always hoped you'd ask about it someday. He stared at the toy for a long time. I thought you forgot those days. I never forgot. Not one. His voice barely came out. I did. I placed my hand on his shoulder. You were just a kid. But I wasn't. For the first time in years, my son hugged me without saying a word. Neither of us wanted to let go. The following week, after soccer practice, his coach asked, "So, is Mark coming to pick you up?" Noah smiled. "No, my real dad is." I heard those words from across the parking lot. And for a second, everything else disappeared. A few days later, we sat together on my porch watching the sunset. "I'm sorry," Noah whispered. "You don't have to apologize." "Yes, I do. I thought love meant buying things. I thought whoever spent the most time with me loved me the most." He looked down. "I never realized you were giving up your own life so I could have mine." Neither of us spoke after that. Sometimes silence carries more love than words ever can. Nearly a year later, the police found Mark living under another name in a different state. He was arrested. His trial was all over the local news. Noah watched quietly. Then he switched off the television. "I don't hate him anymore." I looked at him. "I just don't need him anymore." That was the moment I knew. He had finally healed. On Noah's 18th birthday, he invited everyone, family, friends, even Emily. After dinner, he stood holding a microphone. My heart started racing. He looked around the room. When I was younger, I thought being a father meant showing up to games, buying gifts, having fun. I was wrong. He turned toward me. My dad wasn't always beside me because he was working to give me a future. He sacrificed moments so I could have opportunities. I didn't understand that until I grew up. He walked toward me. Everyone watched. Then, he wrapped his arms around me. "I love you, Dad." The room was completely silent. Many people were crying, including me. Before everyone left, he handed me a small wrapped gift. Inside was a framed photograph. It showed me holding him in the hospital the day he was born. Underneath were 6 simple words. "Thank you for never giving up." I couldn't speak. I didn't need to. Sometimes the happiest endings don't happen because life becomes perfect. They happen because people find their way back to each other. Because real fathers aren't measured by expensive gifts, or perfect family photos, or applause from strangers. They're measured by every sacrifice no one ever sees, by every promise they quietly keep, by every time they choose to stay, even when their heart is breaking. Because anyone can become a father for a moment, but only a real dad never stops being one.